good morning, everybody. I'm all set up to answer the questions, and I'm down here in my little office, and I've got my guitar here. I've got my iPhone recording. I've got my iPad over here to read the questions, which I don't know if I can even see. So here we go. The first question came from Michael, 10750, and he wanted to know about this song. Late one night, the midnight ghost strolled out of San Jose. That song was about, I got the idea for it from an article in, I think it was a Reader's Digest back in the day, and it was about a train that left California and went all the way to the East Coast. And the story about Gypsy and the dog that's in there and the guy being blind, the idea was that they were together in Vietnam, and the guy singing the song made a mistake, and Gypsy was blind after the mistake. And it was a deal about just two friends traveling around on a train. But thanks for the question. This is from Bobby Poe, an old Lobo guy that has been around for a long time, that I've known the name anyway. I don't know him personally. And he wanted to know about Sure Took a Long, Long Time. And it was he and his wife's song, or still is. And that song was, it was just the idea that it could have only been 3 days that they weren't together. But it just seemed like forever because he wasn't with her. And that was the whole idea of the song. And it was just, thanks, Bobby. This is from Pat Parham, I believe it's pronounced. And she's another one that I see quite frequently on the Lobo website. And she wanted to know if I still write songs, and yeah, occasionally. And the other song she wanted to know about was Sometimes. And that was just, a lot of the songs that I write have no really significance other than the emotion that I go through when I'm writing them. And, you know, it's like, that was kind of like tongue in cheek. Sometimes I think of you, but really you're right there all the time. And so thank Pat for the question. This question comes from Taiwan, and I re-recorded a song that was it wasn't a hit in the States, but it was about Armstrong going to the moon, and it was called Armstrong. And it's funny, I thought it was just something that I liked, but it apparently was a pretty big hit by somebody in Australia. I wish I had the name. I'm sorry, I don't. But I do that occasionally in shows when I used to do shows with just a guitar. But it was always a monumental thing to me for man to go to the moon. So that's why I like that. Linda Price, she's another one that, once again, I'm familiar with her name. I don't know her, but I feel like I know her. She asked a question about the meaning of an album I had that was called Calumet. And Calumet is just a peace pipe, and that was back in the days, love and peace and all that. And the other one was Propinquity. And Propinquity is a song by Michael Nesmith, who passed away recently. And he had 3 or 4 songs, Joanne, and he had another one I really liked too. But Propinquity is a song that in the next couple of months, I'll be doing a version of it, the way we do songs, just me and the guitar. And the meaning of that song is that you were standing so close that you couldn't see what was right in front of you. It's like you have a friend, and then one night or day, or you look at each other, and the friendship kind of dissolves into love. And that's what Propinquity is all about. I love the song. Thanks, Pat. This is from Arlo, and I'm not sure exactly where he is. I thought he was in Thailand, but I'm not sure. But he wants to know if I'm ever going to do concerts again. And the answer to that question is the only shows I would ever do anymore would be shows I could drive to. I've flown enough in my life. I feel like I've used up all my free passes. But if I do a few around here, it will be very simple shows, just me and Billy Airts, the guy that has been with me forever, and we just do the 2 of us sing the song. So you never know, we may catch up someone. But thanks for the question, Arlo. Oh yeah, Arlo wanted to know if I do a live stream on the channel. I don't know. You're asking me questions about things I know nothing about. I mean, as I said, I'm sitting in here with all this equipment sitting around me in my junky little room, and I'm amazed that I can even do anything, because to me it's so complicated. And I'm not a techie person. I could care much less about all that stuff. But anyway, that's that. This is from Harry Nelson Jr. And I thought it was a question, but it really wasn't. He was just talking about that he had all the old albums and everything. And I just want to say, Harry, I appreciate the support that you've given me over the years. Paul Smith wanted or asked me about Me and You and a Dog Named Boo. And there are places, if you go on some of the videos I've done before, it'll explain to you why the song was written. It really, when I wrote it, it really had no big meaning other than I was trying to write a song about the subject matter. And of course, after 50 years of being asked about it, it is part of my life. And it's funny, I did so many ballads after that song that it kind of got lost in my mind. And when I do it, I didn't think much about it. But recently, I've been sort of getting back into really what it says, and I kind of wish I was a free man traveling around with a dog and my wife. You know, the freedom of that in today's times will never be there. But it was a beautiful thought anyway. But thanks for the question. Chia Kim Leon from somewhere in Asia asked me if there'll be a new studio album anytime soon. And I can safely say that probably I will never do another studio album. It takes way too much time, and people seem to enjoy the simple part of doing it with just the guitars and stuff. And that's about all I want to do anymore, but thanks for the thought anyway. Linda Price, like I said, Linda has been around for a little while. She's asking me about some songs I wrote before Me and You and a Dog Named Boo. And, you know, it's funny, but it brought to mind the first song I ever wrote, and I can only remember a portion of it, but one of these days I'm going to finish it because it is the first song. And the only thing I remember about it, it went... There have been days I've talked in rhymes and riddles, but there have been nights I've paid for what I said. But when my ego wore you down, you always stayed around, so don't leave me now. Things are getting better, don't leave me now. That's all I can remember of it. But thanks, Linda. Another thing Linda asked me, Linda Price, was how I met my wife, Susie. And I did a video on that, and for some reason or other, it kind of got lost in the shuffle. But the Time Life people are looking for it, and if they don't find it, I'll try to redo it, and I'll explain it to you. But that's that. Richard Shirley asked me why I did songs that I didn't write. And the first place, it was a business decision at the time, because our distributor back in the day, after we did, I don't remember which, it may have been Of a Simple Man album, somewhere in there the distributorship changed, and my producer didn't want me to use my songs on with a label that wasn't going to be there. And so we did a song called Just a Singer. An album called Just a Singer. And I just picked songs that I always liked. And that was when I talked a little earlier about Armstrong. That's the album that came off of. But and you asked about Billy Ayers, who wrote Faithful. And it's one of those songs, Billy and I have written a lot of songs together, and Billy's written a lot of songs. And the first time he played it for me, this type song is always so personal to people. They feel kind of sheepish about playing it for you. And he played it for me, and I said, Billy, I said, I'm not going to change one word. I don't want to do anything. I like the melody. I like everything about it. And we recorded it, and it was received real well all over the world. And so that's the reason I did a few songs by other people. And I talked about Propinquity by Michael Nesmith, which I'm going to do relatively soon. You know, you just like doing great songs by other people, and that's how I did that. That's why I did that. This question is from Vern Lee, and he asked me about a capo, which this is a capo. And the capo goes anywhere you want to put it. Like if I was going to play I'd Love You to Want Me, I would put it here. First I get it on. And it gives the tone. The tone is altogether different with a capo. And it's funny, back in the day when I was just trying to play rock and roll, I went to a folk club, and there was a guy in there, and he was playing. And I kind of turned my nose up at it, and because I was saying, well, why do you use a capo? You can, if you can't play the chords, you shouldn't be playing, or something like that. It wasn't that bad, but I was very kind of smug about it. And he said, it all has to do with tone, and years later I figured it out. Like if I wanted to do this, I couldn't do it without a capo and still get the same. And this G, it's a B flat chord, with like I'd Love You to Want Me, and then if I did it bar chords, it would sound like this. It's altogether different. When I saw you standing there. It's the tone of it. But thanks for the question. Michael Hayes asked me about the guitar that I'm holding, and you're correct, it's a D18 Martin. And I'm going to do a video about my guitars because I still have the important guitars in my life. This particular guitar that I'm holding, the D18, I've had over 50 years. It's played on every Lobo record ever. And I mean, it's like my original thing. You know, it was done on this particular guitar. And you're right, it is a D18 Martin. R. Thompson wrote me and said, please come to the Empire Theatre in Ontario, Canada. R. Thompson wrote that to me. And thank you for the invitation, and you never know, I may show up there someday, but thanks. Andre from the Philippines wrote and asked me, wanted to know what gear I used to record on. And the last time, or in the times I've done anything with Billy Airts, we use Pro Tools, which is an Apple-based digital recording system. In the old days, of course, we did it on 2-inch tape, analog tape. Excuse me. But now, believe it or not, the program that comes, I have an iPad Pro. a garage band that comes on there, the kind of things we do for right now, like this, what I'm doing right now is on my iPhone because I have to read the questions on the iPad. I'm so hip, I have all this stuff and don't know how to use any of it. But I'll be using GarageBand, and then Billy transfers it to his Pro Tools. Billy's in Nashville, and then occasionally I go up to Nashville and we do some things up there. And so, but thanks for the question. White Spirit asked me about a song called One and the Same Thing. And, that was a song, I wrote it so many years ago, and it's not a song that I never played it at any shows. And it just, it's like you can't wear love off a wedding ring, and I can't separate your name from your love from life now. To me, it's one and the same thing. That song came about as a result of a phrase that I heard somewhere, one and the same thing, and wrote a song about the phrase, which is a very common way that songwriters write songs, by the way. But thanks. This comes from CS17, Anna. And Anna asked me about a part of the song, I'd Love You to Want Me. And it's the obligation that you made for the title that they gave. And she wanted to know if it was about a nun. And oddly enough, the original thought was that when I first started writing it, because we're going back 50 years, and there were a lot of taboos back then that are just kind of like commonplace things happening. But I changed the idea and had in my mind an art teacher I had in grammar school. He was a pretty young teacher. And back in those days, you wouldn't think about, or there would be no teacher that would be messing around with their students. And that's what the real thought behind that was about seeing this young, beautiful teacher, and you were a senior in high school, and you're really only 5 years difference in age, and so it's not that odd that you would have an attraction to each other. But that was the reason that it would never be, and I'd love you to want me the way I want you, and it actually says, I know you do want me, but the obligation that you made for the title that they gave said it'll never happen. And in my world, 50 years ago, it would have never happened. But thanks for the question. Ian Gaming asked me what inspired me to write songs. And to be honest about it, originally, I had an avenue with Phil Garnhard, my producer from back in those days, and he had direct connections to everybody in the music business. And he had an interest enough in me that he encouraged me to write songs. And it was basically from the wild dream that I could write a song that would be a hit song. And it wouldn't be my life's work. It would more have been just an annuity every year. You get a few checks and, oh, hey, man, then I can buy a new car or something. And I got wrapped up in it. And not too long ago, well, now it was quite a little while ago, but I went to my 50th class reunion, and I never play my guitar for anything like that. But on that particular occasion, I was asked, and I sang 3 songs, and I said to them, the kids or people that I'd known for 50 years, that if you had told me back in the day that this would be my life's work, I would have snickered, because back in those days, career didn't last that long. You were a couple of years and you had a couple of hits and you went on down the road. And here I am 50 years later talking to people like you that ask questions about it. And it's kind of odd that it ended up being that, but yeah, I've had a fun life. I'm going to try to answer this, or pronounce this, Mehdi Ali Khan. He asked me about a song that in the United States, it wasn't a big hit. It wasn't a hit at all. All over Asia, it's very well known, and that's this. Known her since we both were kids. That's a song called Stoney. And the question that Ali had, Mr. Khan, what is it? Mr. Khan, yeah, I had it right, I'm sorry. The question that Mr. Khan had was Stoney based on a real person? And the question is no. Once again, the name Stoney, for some reason or other, struck a chord in me, and I started messing around with it. And I had no intention of Stoney being a girl. I didn't even think about it. But that songwriting is a strange thing. It just, once you start it and you're in here in the room by yourself, doesn't make any difference what the atmosphere is as long as you're by yourself. These thoughts just come in your head, and they come out, and I can't explain it. No songwriter can. I've heard Bob Seger say the same thing, Jimmy Webb, all these real great songwriters that wrote a lot more hits than me. They seem to, everybody kind of gets in a trance, and it just comes out of you, and I can't explain it, but that's it, or that's the best I can explain it. But thanks. And that's the end of this tune.